Okay guys, so I'm having a bit of a meltdown. I'm having a huge issue. I wanted to put my current Shop My Stash away, and I'm just so overwhelmed by product at the moment. I couldn't fit everything in my blush and bronzer drawer, so I've had to take everything out and I'm going to have to reorganise it. I've got a funny feeling I'm going to have to do that with every single drawer, even though I only did it not that long ago. But it's one of those situations with my makeup stash that it's so organised. I keep it so pristine, but it is stacked. Like if I take one thing out, I can't put it back in the same place that it came from. I had got two Shop My Stashes running. I'd got a makeup bag and then my vanity drawer, and I just want to put everything away. I don't want sort of product everywhere. I want it all in one place. But I don't know if I'm going to have the room to do that now that everything is together. But I thought I would take this opportunity, as I'm going to have to take everything out of the drawers. I might as well do a bit of a updated collection, like a 2025 collection, and I'm going to be starting obviously with bronzers and blushes, powder, bronzers and blushes, simply because that's how I've got it. Everything, I've had to take everything out. Please excuse the bare duvet. I'm in the middle of getting my bedroom ready for like Christmas, putting new sheets and everything on, and decor out and things. So yeah, sorry about the bare duvet and mattress and stuff, but I wasn't planning on filming at all. But like I say, I've literally just sent a text to my mum saying I think I'm gonna cry. I've had to take everything out of my one makeup drawer, and I might as well turn it into a positive and go through what I've got with you guys. So in the back here, this is stuff that I has got to go into another drawer, so I've just left it there. As far as my makeup storage goes, we're not even starting at the top. I'm starting from like halfway down, but I thought I might as well do it while I'm here. So let's show you what I have in my powder blush and powder bronzer collection. Okay, to make this a little easier on myself, I've opened up a bunch and I'll just do them in stages. So to get the big ones out of the way, first of all, I have the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Bronzer in the shade number 1 Fair. This was the one that I have been using in my current Shop My Stash. I absolutely love this bronzer, but it is very light for me. It's one that I can pretty much put all over my face and it doesn't look, you know, too strange. It's also a really good one to use if I've put on, say, something that's a little bit too harsh, and I can use this to blend it out. This is definitely one that I can only really wear in the autumn and the winter, but yeah, really love this one. Then my newest bronzer is the Giorgio Armani Luminous Silk Bronzer. This one I have in the shade 90. This is absolutely stunning. It's a really gorgeous bronzer, very golden in tone and has that lovely radiance. You don't see like glitter on the skin, it just leaves a beautiful golden glow, the perfect summer bronzer. Then the next sort of larger one that I have is, this isn't technically a bronzer, this is the Dior Backstage Powder No Powder in the shade 4 Neutral. I love the formula of these powders, so I wanted to get it in a shade that I could use for bronzing. And yeah, really lovely powder formula, but hard pans incredibly quickly. Then another favourite bronzer of mine that unfortunately is no longer available. This is the Glowish by Huda Beauty, and this one is in the shade number 2 medium. This is a beautiful soft velvety bronzer that leaves kind of like a blurred but slightly radiant finish to the skin. Really stunning bronzer. Then some other radiant bronzers. I have the Makeup Forever Pro Bronze Fusion. I have had this one for years and years. It was probably one of the first bronzers that I ever bought, and it's still a favourite in my collection. It's one that I tend to use very sparingly, but this one is absolutely stunning. Another favourite, but this has actually been discontinued. This is the Kosas bronzer, the soft bronze. This one is in the shade Light, and they have reformulated these, and the packaging is now like a yellowy colour. These, like the powders, do tend to get hard pan quite easily, but it's worth it for me because this just gives a stunning soft radiance. It's one that I tend to use over the top of a deeper bronzer, just to add more of like a sheen to my skin. Really stunning. Again, absolutely beautiful in the summer months to just add a little bit of a golden glow. Then I have the 3 Benefit Hoola bronzers. So I have the original. This one again is years old, but I think this is the perfect shade for like being a cross between a bronzer and a contour. It's not too warm, it's just lovely and neutral. Then I have Hoola Glow, which I actually prefer out of the 2. This is a stunning, you know, very neutral shade, but it has a gorgeous warm golden radiance to it. And then I have Hoola Caramel for when I use self-tan and I want something a little bit warmer and richer. And then 2 from Laura Geller. These are the Baked Bronze and Brighten, and I have the shades Fair and the shade Medium. And these are a stunning formula. They have sort of a nice mix of like radiant powder and bronzer, and they also have a little bit of pink in these fairer shades. These are absolutely stunning on the skin, as with all Laura Geller products. Okay, now I have more affordable bronzers here. Obviously, you can see I like the NYX Buttermelt range. I have 5 of the bronzers, but this shade I wouldn't actually use as a bronzer. I use this one as a blush, but I've got the shades number 1 Buttercup, number 2 All Buttered Up, number 4 Butter Biscuit, shade 5 Butter Off, and then shade 7 Butter Days. The thing with the NYX Buttermelt bronzers, they have done a recent shade extension, but the shades are very rosy toned, so they almost do double as a blush. This one, obviously, as you can see, it looks very similar to some blushes that I have in my collection, so that's the reason that I purchased that one. All these others I've used as bronzers, and with a light hand I can get away with even this shade. This shade Butter Off number 5 is the one that I've had in my most recent Shop My Stash, and they're just a really beautiful formula. Then I have the Rimmel Natural Bronzer. This one, I haven't actually used this one yet. I got this on a recommendation, well, a couple of different recommendations from people with fair skin who like a more rosy tone bronzer. It's looking very golden on camera. That's sort of a bit more sort of true to colour. but it definitely has like a rosy undertone to it. And then I've also got, this is a complete classic. This has been around for donkey's years. This is the Shimmer Brick in the shade number 2 medium. And this one gives more glow than it does actual colour. So it's nice to use sort of on top of another bronzer. Then a very long-standing favourite is the Revlon Skin Lights bronzer. This is such a beautiful baked gelée formula. It's incredibly sophisticated and reminds me an awful lot of my one from Makeup Forever. Then I have the e.l.f. Primer Infused Blush. This one is in the shade Forever Sunkissed, and this to me is a spot-on dupe for my Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Bronzer. The formula, the shade, everything, really, really close. You'd struggle to tell them apart. The only thing I would say is this one perhaps has a little bit more pigment than the shade 1 in the Charlotte Tilbury. And then I have the Kiko Milano Silky Glow Baked Bronzer in the shade 01. And again, this is similar to the Laura Geller bronzers, where it has, it's so soft, really sophisticated formula, and adds a beautiful radiance to the skin. And my favourite bronzer formula of all has to come from MAC, starting with my oldest and one of my favourite products in my entire makeup collection. This one is so old and I probably shouldn't be using it on my face, but I still do, and I will never get rid of this. This is the MAC and Sharon Osbourne Refresh, and I think it's Give Me Sun and Soft and Gentle in a split pan, but this is the most beautiful bronzer I have ever used. I absolutely adore it. Then I have the Mineralized Skin Finish in the shade Sun Power, which is a gorgeous red tone bronzer, perfect for the depths of summer. I get quite a bit of makeup from Vinted, and this was a Vinted score. I got this and another one from the same seller, and they were brand new, fresh in the boxes. But yeah, this is a stunning one. Then the one that I got from that same seller is the shade Medium Dark in the Mineralized Skin Finish. This is actually a face powder, but these work beautifully as bronzers. As you can see, that gorgeous radiance in there, and this one is perfect. It's a little bit lighter than Give Me Sun, which I obviously have in that MAC and Sharon, and I've also not too long ago bought a full size. But yeah, this is stunning. You can be really liberal with this and it gives such a gorgeous warmth. Then, as I say, I have Give Me Sun. This is about the second or third full size Give Me Sun that I've purchased. I've gone through at least a full one, maybe even 2. I think it's probably 2. But this is just a classic bronzer shade, and it's just these, to me, the Mineralized Skin Finish powders are flawless. They just can't be beaten. Then a newer bronzer formula from them. They did a collection of, I think these are called the Sunstruck. I can't remember, but this is the shade Radiant Light Rosy. They did the corresponding shades in a matte and a radiant. I got the radiant, and to suit my fair skin tone I went for the light rosy, and it's absolutely perfect. And then, but what I will say is I don't like this formula as much as the Mineralized Skin Finish formula. And then a limited edition bronzer. Again, this is very old, but not one I will ever let go of until I've used it up completely, is the Golden Rinse. This was a, like I say, a limited collection. And I did have a couple of products from this collection, but the bronzer is the only one that I've kept, and it's a gorgeous sort of like rosy red toned bronzer, and the formula is that like baked gelée. It's really, really stunning. Okay, now let's move on to powder blushes, and I'm just going to go for my Colourpop and Kylie blushes first of all. So I've greatly reduced down my Colourpop blushes. I've kept the Hello Kitty and Island Shine blush. This is a gorgeous like raspberry red, and then a beautiful bright coral shade in the shade Aloha Honey. And then my favourite Colourpop blushes are the Kathleen Lights ones. I find these really unique colours. So the first one that I have here is the shade Luna Has It, which is almost bordering a bronzer. It's like a lovely nude toned blush. Then we have the shade I Need Space, which is a gorgeous mauve with a slight radiance to it. Then I have the shade My Sun and Stars, which is a gorgeous coral with a lot of like orangey gold radiance to it. And then I have the shade So Retrograde. I don't know why I've turned these over because I know the names by heart, but yeah, this is a beautiful like retro mustardy orange, really gorgeous in the autumn or the depths of summer. And then I only have two blushes from Kylie Cosmetics. These, to me, this formula is just okay. It's nothing to write home about. I got these sort of at the height of the pale pink blush trend. Everybody was raving about these two shades, and I decided to pick them up, and I have barely used them. But this is the shade Pink Pera and Winter Kissed, which is that sort of like lavender pink shade. They're just a very, like I say, standard matte powder blush formula. I wouldn't buy any more, but I'm also not ready to let them go or anything. Okay, next up I have my collection of NYX Buttermelt blushes. I absolutely adore this formula. I do have all the shades here. Obviously some of these shades are not meant for my skin tone, but I do like to have them in my collection, and I can make them work with a light hand. This is a formula that can go, you know, super crazy pigmented quick, so you do have to use the right brush and the right sort of like pressure, but I think this formula is absolutely stunning. I wish they would release some more nudie shades within this line, as this is really the only sort of nudie shade that we have. It would be nice to have some lighter, more rosy beige tones, but I absolutely love these, and as I say, I have all of the shades. So this is number 1, My Butter Half. Then I have number 2, which is Sooner the Butter, which is a gorgeous bright orange. I think the one that people sort of talk about and is the most popular is number 3, shade Butter Together, a lovely light pinky tone. Shade number 4, this is sort of like NARS Orgasm vibes in the shade You Know Butter. Then we have the shade number 5, Had Butter. And then these are the shades that are gorgeous for this time of year, autumn, winter. So we've got the shade number 6 for the butter. These look like they haven't been touched, but I have used them. This is the shade number 7, Butter with Thyme. You just use such a small amount with these. This is the shade number 8, Getting Butter. currently my favourite one, the shade number 9, Feeling Butter. Okay, and I just had to pause that as I got a call from my GP surgery. So these are the last 3 shades. This is the shade Back and Butter, beautiful burgundy. Another gorgeous burgundy shade in the shade Butter Than Before, and then the purple one of the bunch. This one actually shows up on me more as like a hot pink, but this is the shade All the Butter. Okay, and moving on to some more like high-end blushes. So I have my Pat McGrath blushes here. These are a stunning formula of blush, powder blush. They're not shimmery, but they have a slight sort of natural finish to them. This one is the shade Electric Bloom. Probably my current favourite is the shade Nude Venus 2. It was like a limited edition one. And then I have 2 of the duos. So this is the shade Cosmic Coral. And another favourite, this one is the shade Paradise Glow. And then I have 2 old YSL blushes. These were some that my mum gave to me several years ago. But I just absolutely love this formula and the shades I have. This is a beautiful pink in the shade number 5. It doesn't have a name, it's just a shade number. And then the peach in the shade number 8. And then a favourite from Dior. This was a limited edition for Christmas one year that my parents bought me as a Christmas present. This is the shade 353 Golden Nights, and this one does have a lot of sparkle in it. So it's not really, for me, it's not like an everyday blush. Then I have the Sigma blush, in the shade Bronze Star. This is a gorgeous rosy bronze with a lot of like luminosity to it. And then a similar kind of finish is the iconic London blusher in Kissed by the Sun. This is the multi-use cheek glow, and I actually haven't used this on my face yet. That was a birthday present. Okay, and there we have NARS blushes and a couple of Vive and a Dior and Emco, so selection basically. So for NARS, these are all the old formula. I haven't tried the new reformulated version, and all of mine, bar this little teeny tiny one, came via Vinted. So this one is the shade Thrill, the blush that started that blue pink trend. Then I have the shade Amour, which is a beautiful rosy beige. This gorgeous pinky mauve in the shade Matahari. Then I have this beautiful nude blush in the shade Zen. And then this was a limited edition Christopher Kane. This is like a neon pink in the shade Starscape. And then this little tiny one was part of a Boots beauty box that I was gifted for my birthday. And this is the shade Orgasm Rush. And I was really worried that this one would be too deep for my skin tone, but it actually works and it looks really lovely on. Then from Vive, I have this one in the shade Sorbet. This is that sort of like peachy coral that has a little bit of golden radiance to it, but it's nothing over the top. And then this gorgeous red wine shade in Piazza, which is like a rosewood red, deep rosewood. And then I have, again, this is the old formula Dior Rosy Glow blush in the shade Coral. And then the dupe is the Emco Beauty. And this one is the Glow Up PH Powder Blush in the shade Blush Red. I haven't actually tried this on my face yet. Okay, and I'm getting a bit stressed now because they're not going to all go in the drawer the way I've stacked them, but there we go. So I have two from Milani. This is the shade Dolce Pink, and of course the very famous Luminoso. That's the Luminoso is in the old packaging. Then I have two from the Boots brand 17. I have the shade Desert Pink and this gorgeous berry in the shade Plum Blossom. Those are so super cheap, but they are such a nice powder formula. Then I've got from number 7 the shade Honey. I haven't used this one on my face yet. I have from Becca Blushed Copper. Very, very glowy, so you've got to sort of want that look with that one. Then I have Pillow Talk Intense from Charlotte Tilbury. Super pigmented, but more berry than like a baby pink like Pillow Talk is. Then I have, well, it's not a baby pink, but it is like a pink. Then I have Say Ciao. This is a gorgeous blush shade. Another gorgeous blush from Kosas. This is the Blush is Life in the shade Dreamland. I want some more of these, and the Say blushes, they're stunning. Then we have Dallas from Benefit, really unique shade, lovely cool toned nude beige mauve, really pretty and like I say very unique. Then I have the Too Faced Cloud Crush blush in the shade Candy Clouds. This is a baby pink. And then from number 7, from the new Pro Artist range, this is the shade Taupe in the Pro Artist blush. Okay, and two sort of random ones from this MAC collection. I have the Laura Geller Baked Blush and Brighten. These are relatively new to my collection, but oh my god, I adore this formula. They are so stunning. This is the shade Sunswept. They have a very glowy finish to them, but they do have sort of a range of finishes. They have like a matte, satin. These are the satin ones, but they are very glowy. You can sort of see how much radiance there is in there, but I've worn this a few times, this shade Pink Grapefruit, and it's just glorious. Such a healthy looking blush. Then I have two glowy ones from MAC here. So these are the Extra Dimension blushes. This is the shade Hard to Get, and then this one is the shade Hushed Tone, and then the rest are my MAC blushes. I have a lot of MAC blushes. This is just a small sampling of them. So this one here that has a nice golden shine to it, this is Sweet as Cocoa. A lot of these blushes probably are no longer available, but I've been building this collection for many years. This is a favourite of mine in the shade Margin, which again is a radiant blush. I do tend to go for a radiant finish where possible. This one is the shade Ambering Rose. I'm knowing these shades before I even turn them over. This one is a newer one to my collection. This is a gorgeous matte in the shade Gingerly. This one again has a radiance to it and is one that I've used a ton. This is the shade Dolly Mix. Then this one I have two of. I accidentally bought two of the same shade, but it's one that I decided to keep both of them, and I'll keep one in a makeup bag and one in my stash. So this is the shade Harmony. This can double up as a blush and a contour, and it also makes a beautiful eyeshadow. This was a limited edition one. It was from like a laundry collection that they did. This is the shade Crisp Whites. This beautiful one, I haven't actually used this one yet. This is the shade A Little Lusty. I may have used it, but it's not been used very much. This one I've used a ton of. This is a favourite. This is the shade Peony Petal. Gorgeous blue toned pink. And then another one that you can see I've used a ton of. I absolutely love this shade, in the shade Spring Sheen. And more MAC. So these are the mineralised blushes. You can see they're like a baked blush. These are absolutely gorgeous blushes. This one is the shade Dainty. Every single one I have in this formula is a favourite. This one is the shade Gentle. This is the very famous Warm Soul, but this one is the old original shade. Then we have another limited edition. This is from, it was like a sea water collection. This is one of the extra dimension blushes in the shade See Me, Hear Me. One I have used a ton, as you can see. Then I have the shade Modern Mandarin, I think. Yep, Modern Mandarin, absolutely gorgeous mandarin orange with a nice radiance to it. This is another one that's on the newer side for me. This is the shade Copper Tone. I'm sure that I had Copper Tone, Gingerly and Harmony at one point, as well as some others that I've got on my wish list, but I have decluttered a lot of MAC over the years. I had an enormous MAC collection. It was ludicrous, and over the years I've slowly sort of like decluttered a lot of it, and I am regretting every single product I decluttered from MAC. I wished I'd have kept it, and as you can see, I've repurchased some old favourites. This is the shade Sunbask. This is another newer one to my collection, one that I definitely had in the past. Then we've got the shade Trace Gold. This one is the shade Stay Pretty. You can see I've used a ton of that one. Then we have the shade Burnt Pepper, another one that I know I had and have repurchased fairly recently. Then we have another extra dimension blush, this one in the shade Cheeky Bits. This is going to be gorgeous in the summer. It reminds me a lot actually of My Sun and Stars from the Kathleen White's Colourpop collection. Then I have, what's this one? Is this Worldly Wealth? Yep, Worldly Wealth. Worldly Wealth and Trace Gold are very similar to each other. And then we have the shade Devil, and I have still got 4 MAC blushes to show you. I wish I could say this is all the blushes, but it's not. But it is the last of the MAC blushes. So this is another MAC mineralised skin finish blush in the shade Love Thing. Then we have this one. This one's very old. This is the old packaging, and it was a special edition release at one Christmas. This is the shade Talk of the Town. This is a gorgeous like blush topper highlighter hybrid. Okay, these are 2 newer mineralised blushes to my collection. This is the shade Lovejoy, which I am absolutely positive I had at one point and must have decluttered it. And then this gorgeous one, which is like the mineralised version of Harmony blush, and this is the shade Humour Me. Then I have one of the Bare Minerals bronzers. This is a gorgeous shade called Kiss of Spice, and this was highly influenced by a friend here on YouTube, Rach Talks, a beautiful Canadian YouTuber. I will link her channel below, but I get a lot of recommendations from her videos, so that was one of them. And my YSL blush collection. This is one of my favourite discoveries of 2025. I definitely went a little bit silly with them and bought too many, but I absolutely adore these blushes and this formula. So the shades aren't on the back, it's just the number, so I'm not 100% sure which is which. So this one, the packaging is gorgeous. This is the shade number 12, and if I'm not mistaken, this might be Nude Nocturnal. Then this one is number 37. Gorgeous peachy tone. I think that's peachy nude. This one I think is the shade Restless Rose, which is number 93. This one is Baby Doll Pink and is the shade 42. This one is the shade Nude Lavalier, which is number 44. And I'm not 100% on this one. I think it might be Coral Clash or something like that. And that one is the shade 57. Okay, and last of the blushes, we just have my small ones. So these are total favourites. These are the Max Factor Face Finity blushes. And these remind me so much of the Hourglass blushes. I haven't actually tried an Hourglass blush, but the way they look and they look on the skin reminds me so much of those. So this one is the shade Nude Mauve. This pinky bronze is Alluring Rose. Then we have this gorgeous pale pink in the shade Lovely Pink. And this one here is the shade Seductive Pink. Then I have two blasts from the past. These are Bourjois Little Round Pot blushes. These are newer to my collection. I got these from Notino, and these are the shades Cien and Brun Couvre or Couvre. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. And then I have my two glowish blushes. I have the shade Berry Juicy and Caring Coral. So that is all my powder blushes and powder bronzers.